Hello. Today we're going to go over all the steps that precede turning on your engine. Those steps are essential to ensure your aircraft's integrity and that everything is in order for a smooth and seamless flight. First of all, stretch your legs a bit and take a look at your aircraft and your surroundings. We never took much time to look at our aircraft from the outside, so take your time if you want to inspect it. You might have noticed some extra bits on your aircraft. These are the covers and chocks. Covers are installed when the plane is not in use and are meant to avoid damaging its sensitive parts. Chocks are there to immobilize the aircraft. You'll need to remove them before takeoff. And we're done for the outside. Now that we're sure your aircraft is functional and ready to taxi, let's check the inside. Let's get to the matter at hand. You've been given an EFB, also referred to as an electronic flight bag. It's a tablet that stores critical flight information and is the ideal tool to prepare your flight plans and enhance your piloting experience. Open it and take a look. Feel free to follow a quick guided tour of its features. The EFB features an interactive map, a flight plan editor, aircraft and current flight information, a nav log, as well as fuel and payload options. The EFB has plenty to offer, but if you want to get directly into the action, you can turn it off after you finish the quick tour. It seems like we're all clear on the checklist. Now start this pretty bird up. Now that we've covered all the preparations, let's get to the good stuff, shall we? Let's take a moment to talk about taxiing. Taxiing refers to moving the aircraft on the ground under its own power. In particular, getting from the ramp out to the hold short point on the edge of the runway. Steering on the ground is managed through the rudder pedals. That's right, unlike driving a car, we turn by using our feet. Okay, ready? With the throttle idle, release your parking brake. Okay. Now, gently increase throttle to get the aircraft moving. Go easy on your throttle. Use your rudder pedal to turn left and enter the taxiway. Increase throttle to gain forward momentum and then reduce RPM accordingly to match a fast walking speed while taxiing. Now, test the brakes. Good. Brakes checked. Taxi to the next exit, then come to a stop. Remember to control your speed with throttle and brakes. See the crossing in front of us. Stop before it, as if traffic was coming off the runway. Watch your speed. Watch your speed. All right, taxi to holding point Alpha 1 next. It's at the far end of the airport, near the head of runway 21. Stay as close as possible to the taxiway center, marked by the yellow line, and watch your speed. Watch your speed. Watch your speed. Watch your speed. After the right turn, come to a stop before the hold short point, in prep for takeoff. Watch your speed. That was good taxiing. The next challenge will be to keep the aircraft under control while at full throttle for takeoff. There's an old saying I like, a mile of road will take you a mile. A mile of runway will take you anywhere. Taking off isn't hard, but there are a few key points to remember. First, we always take off into the wind, which won't be an issue on a calm day like today. Second, before we enter a runway, we always make sure it's clear. Check to the right to see if a vehicle is on the runway, and to the left to make sure no other planes are approaching. Runway numbers are not arbitrary. Each number matches the first two number of the runway's compass bearing, rounded to the nearest 10 degrees. For example, a runway orientated towards the north would be numbered 36, which is 360 degrees on a compass. Everything looks good, no cross traffic. Go ahead and taxi into position. Now slowly taxi onto the runway and align the plane with the center line. Then stop your plane just after the number 21. Keep working on it, you'll get better. All right, let's do this. Apply full power, and I'll walk you through the takeoff as we go. Use your rudder to stay on the center line, and keep pushing power until you reach 55 knots. Good. Now, gently pull back on the yoke. And we're airborne. Line up the top of your instrument panel so it's a couple of inches above the horizon. That'll pitch us up and set a good climb attitude. Maintain 75 knots and we'll reach our target altitude of 5,500 feet in no time. Focus on flying straight. Use your rudders to remove the left yaw plane as when climbing. You can see your current yaw input by looking at the MFD's slip skid indicator. Maintain 75 knots and climb to 5,500 feet. Okay, 5,500 feet. You've reached your target altitude. Good job. For this landing exercise, I want you to focus on the yoke only. We're close enough to the runway to land safely without adding any throttle. Maintain a speed of around 65 knots. Pitch down if you're going too slow. Pitch up if you're too fast. Keep your airspeed at 65 knots. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. To flare means to raise the nose of the aircraft to slow your descent for a softer landing, but without ever leveling off or climbing. The main landing gear will touch down before the nose wheel does. We're coming up on flare height. Resist the temptation to pull back. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes progressively to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. Use rudder pedals to stay on the center line. Well done, but there's room for improvement. Keep in mind that approaching the runway at the right speed is key to a good landing. In the first part of this landing exercise, I want you to stay on the glide path by using the throttle. You can make small corrections with the yoke to stay aligned with the runway. Smooth action on the throttle is key for remaining on the correct glide path. If you find yourself too high, reduce your power. If you're too low, increase it. Remember though, always make soft corrections. You don't want to overcompensate. Now you can use the elevator to land. Reduce throttle to idle. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. That was excellent. My first instructor used to say, the best part of flying is landing in one piece. Today, you're in charge of bringing us in for a safe landing. And I've already set us up in landing configuration at 65 knots with 20 degrees of flaps. Keep your aim point on the runway threshold. When you're 10 feet above the runway, it's time to flare. Reduce throttle to idle. Now, focus on the end of the runway and pull back slightly on the yoke to aim the nose just above it. Nice. Now, apply the brakes progressively to slow us down and bring the plane to a stop. Use rudder pedals to stay on the center line. You did well, but you can do better. Keep in mind that approaching the runway at the right speed is key to a good landing. Okay, we're currently flying on the downwind leg, at the standard traffic pattern altitude of 6,000 feet. It's a flight path parallel to the landing runway, but in the opposite direction. In downwind, you want to start preparing for landing. That means setting your speed and flaps configuration. We are passing the end of the runway, so go ahead and reduce RPM to 1700. It will help you to slow you down to 80 knots and begin your descent. The flaps provide extra lift at the expense of additional drag. This extra lift allows flying at a lower airspeed. Flaps allow for smoother and shorter landings. Go ahead and extend 10 degrees of flaps, all while maintaining current speed. We will turn to the base leg when the end of the runway is at a 45-degree angle behind us. Turn left onto the base leg. Keep our speed around 75 knots. Turn left onto final. Keep an eye on the runway as we get ready for our final turn. Make your left turn onto final. Keep a stabilized approach with 65 knots airspeed and prepare for landing. Use throttle and flaps as required to adjust the glide slope. Apply the brakes and stop the plane. That was all right. A little more practice will help your accuracy, though. It's time. Your first solo flight. I'll be watching from the ground, in radio contact if you need me, but something tells me you won't. Your goal is to complete Sedona's left-hand traffic pattern on your own. Remember everything we covered in our previous sessions, and you'll be just fine. Good luck. See you on the other side. I think a bit more practice may be a good idea. You're on your way to becoming one hell of a pilot.